Hello, Becky here. Welcome to or welcome back to my channel. I am here to do the Splendid Spring Book Tag. I decided after a couple of very long vlogs, I needed a quick and easy video to do. So I've done this in the past. I've seen other people do this tag. This was the best tag I could find that I wanted to do. Let's just jump right into this. Luigi, as always, is my co-pilot when it comes to filming, especially downstairs. He loves it. Spring officially started on Tuesday, March 19th, and today is the 23rd of March. And it is freezing out. This morning I checked my phone, it said minus 18. And right now I think it says minus 8 or something like that. So it is freezing outside. It's not very spring weather, but the sun has been up longer and that has been amazing. We did our spring forward a couple weeks ago, so the sun is out longer. Spring is in the air. It's just very cold, crisp, windy air. I stopped at Starbucks today for a little treat. I got a chai frap. It's freezing cold outside, but it's warm and toasty in my house, so we got that. Well, that's the first sip I've taken of it and it is sweet. Luigi, you're just out of frame. Let's jump into the tag questions. Number 1. Everywhere you look, flowers are blooming. Choose a book you love or think you will love with flowers on the cover. So one book I wanted to read in February that I just didn't get to, and I'm hoping to read this summer. It's going to be my summer of romance, I think. Romance and maybe some thrillers. But the one I want to get to is Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan. I thought it had more flowers on it, but when I picked it up, it's just got a few here at the bottom. It feels a little bit more fall with the orange and the gold, and she's got like gold specks in her hair. This is such a beautiful cover. I love it. I love the gold accents, and I even love these ones that are just like outlined in gold and you can see the colors in the background. But it does have flowers on it. It is a little bit more leaning into fall, but that's okay. I have lots of books with flowers on the cover. I have a couple of my Basset Hound books here. This one, Just Harriet, has some very pretty flowers here on the corner, lots of different colors and stuff, very beautiful. I have Black Girls Must Die Exhausted and Black Girls Must Be Magic. And I was gonna get the third book. Is there 3 or 4? And then I was listening to this, what is their channel called? They were talking about it and they said the books weren't that great. I like them, but is it enough for me to continue on? I don't know. One thing I don't like is this is the first one. This is the second one, and it's so much smaller. I hate that. And they're even printed by like the same people and everything. Why is it such a huge difference? This one is obviously a lot bigger than this one, but you could still make it taller. I don't know, but these are beautiful covers with flowers on them. Yeah, lots of flower books. I also have one that is just literally about flowers in spring. It's Paris Blooming is what it's called, and it's got this beautiful, like the cherry blossoms on the front. Love the cover of that. Just a book you kind of flip through. My mom bought it because I love cherry blossoms. Comment down below a book that you love that has flowers on the cover that you think I should read. Maybe a romance one. Maybe I'll find it on my shelves. That is my goal this year, is to read books on my shelves. Question number 2 is spring is the perfect time for a fun trip. Choose a book you've read or would like to read while traveling from one place to another. So I read My Killer Vacation by Tessa Bailey. Is that who does it? When I was traveling to BC. It was an okay book, but it was just too much sex. For me, I wanted more romance, but that was a book I chose to read because it had vacation in the title. So I like picking things like that. Like I have the book Meet Me at the Lake that I haven't read yet. I would love to go to the lake, and I might not sit and read the entire book in one sitting at the lake, but starting it at the lake or some kind of body of water. We have like a beach here. It's not the ocean, but it would be a very large lake. Gregoire Lake is what it's called. So even just starting the book there, I like doing things like that. Going to the lake isn't traveling, but it is like 45 minutes out of my way, so it's a short travel. But one I did read while traveling was the Dresden Files #1 Stormfront by Jim Butcher. And our friend was moving about 9 hours south from us, and we helped him move, him and his wife. And then he had to come back up here to finish his like last week or 2 of work. So on the way back up, we started listening to that book together, and he really likes that series and suggested it to us. And we were enjoying it well enough. And then my husband and I went to Japan at the end of June, beginning of July, and we had one fairly long bullet train ride that we had to do, and so we just continued on with that book, and I think we finished that one in Japan as well. So that was a fun one to listen to together while we were traveling. And my husband and I go south often enough. It is a 5-hour drive to the large city south, and we usually listen to books together while traveling. But yes, I like to pick books that kind of have to do with traveling while I'm traveling. I think that's really fun. Who doesn't love a good spring fling? Choose a book you were obsessed with for a short period of time, but then you swiftly cast it aside. I couldn't think of a book that I just cast off to the side like that I'm like really obsessed with. Right now, I guess it would be having just read Spy Family, but I haven't just like cast it to the side. I don't really know exactly what that means when it comes to my reading, but I wrote down Dr. Dolittle because I read this book. I can't remember why. I think the movie was coming out with Robert Downey Jr. and I wanted to read the book and I loved this. There was a couple little quotes in here that I just thought were hilarious. Like I always quote to my husband, the dog calls the pig, "You're just a fat piece of bacon," or something, or a lazy piece of bacon, or whatever it was, that I just thought was hilarious. I don't know if you'd say I was obsessed with this book, but it was fun while I was reading it. I don't know. I'm trying to think of books I've been obsessed with and then cast them aside. For me, it's going to be the story of Dr. Dolittle. I've only read the first one. And I love books about animals that can talk, whether the story is told from the perspective of the animal or they're just a part of the story. Like Marley and Me, it is a story about the guy's dog, but you're not hearing from the dog. As a kid, I loved the books, and I've read them again recently. The Firewing, Sunwing books. I'm trying to remember the other one, but they're all told from the perspective of a bat. And one of my all-time favorite books is also Where the Red Fern Grows, which is told from the perspective of the boy who gets these two dogs. So anything to do with animals, I love it. I just read a book in December for the Buzzword about a deaf girl who is trying to speak to a whale, basically. So it's all told from the perspective of the deaf girl, but there's a couple like one page, like 2-paragraph things getting the whale's perspective. It was really cute. It was a middle grade. It was really good. I think it was good representation, but the author herself is not deaf, but she is a translator, like a sign language translator. I can't speak on the representation of it, but I didn't see anything obviously bad with the representation. But yeah, books with animals, I just love them. I get obsessed with them and then forget about them, I guess. So question number 4. Everyone loves the smell of freshly mowed grass, but not at an ungodly hour. Choose a book that personifies a middle-aged dad waking up at 7 a.m. on a Saturday to mow the lawn when he should be sleeping like the rest of us. So I was asking my husband, like, what does that even mean when it comes to a book? So I was thinking you love the smell of freshly cut grass, but not hearing the lawnmower at 7 a.m. So I was thinking of it as a book that has the buzzwords that you like. You're like, this sounds like a really good book. I want to pick this up. And for whatever reason, all the things lining up, you should love the book, but for whatever reason, you just don't. So I was thinking of Get a Life, Chloe Brown. I enjoy romance books. They were never a huge part of my reading, but I do enjoy them, and I've gotten more into them. I really like listening to them as audiobooks. It feels just like a rom-com that I get to enjoy and listen to. And Get a Life, Chloe Brown is so popular. It's a booktube favorite, and I really, really wanted to read it, but it was just a little too much about the sex, but also things like scenes with the guy masturbating and stuff, and I was like, this is not what I want. I do read books that do have sex in them, and I just kind of skim over those pages, but if I'm skipping more pages than I'm reading, it's not the kind of book for me. So I really wanted to get into the Brown sisters, and I know that Talia Hibbert was it last year or the year before, she has a YA, so that might be more up my alley. But yeah, that's the one I picked because I should love it. It's a cute romance, but it was just too uncomfortable and I was just skipping too much of it. Let's move on to the next question. A surprise rain shower might spoil your outdoor fun, but don't worry, the sun will come back. Choose a book that made you really sad, but the sun still shines in the end. So I wrote down, and I think I always pick this one, but Genesis Begins Again by Alicia D. Williams. This book was so sad. It made me cry. It's this girl. She is very dark-skinned and is trying everything she can to become lighter skinned, and there is some hard things going on with her family, having to move, not being able to afford the rent, her dad being not 100% reliable, and there's just so much going on, and my heart just broke for Genesis so much. I just wanted to grab her and hug her and love on her and tell her she is beautiful the way that she is, but it also has a very good ending, and it kind of just ends, but it's also like on a good note. So I really liked that. Another one, middle grade, just really hits different for me. I don't know why, if it's because I think of myself at that age, because I have kids that are in that age range or coming up on that age range. So it breaks my heart for my kids and for me as a little girl, but it's just, the emotions are so much stronger with it. The other middle grade series, which I think is upstairs, it's written by, I have his nonfiction here, David A. Robertson. He wrote Blackwater, Family Legacy, and Blood Memory, and he is an Indigenous Canadian author. And I read this for the library. Our library teamed up with the municipality, and they have like a reading club, and it's a lot of own voices type stuff. And so I read this and then found out he did a middle grade series, and that is called the Misua series. And I've read the first 3 and the 4th one is out now, and it is kind of an Indigenous folklore, Narnia-esque portal fantasy world. And the kids in there are foster kids. They are 2 Indigenous, a girl and a boy from different families are a part of this white family. It's just the 2 foster kids. They don't have any biological children of their own. They really struggled to have kids. And the parents, they're really good. It's like a really good foster home. It's not a bad situation, but the emotions that they feel, the children being taken from their family, the daughter comes from a really hard background. The boy was taken from his grandpa for some reason. I don't know why, but he had a good childhood growing up. He's like 9 or something, but he didn't come from a bad place. Where the girl was taken like very, very young, doesn't remember her mom, has a lot of struggles and feelings that her mom just like left her and abandoned her, and it's very, very sad. And I just want to hold them and tell them like you are loved and you are precious, and just love on them. And they discover this portal world and get to meet these humanoid animals and learn about their Indigenous heritage, because those animals basically live off the land and are living the way that the Indigenous people would live. So they're just learning so much about their past and their heritage and their identity and everything like that. And it's really beautiful, but also really hard because they're struggling with the loss of their actual family. But it is positive too, like I said, and they are in a good home now, even though they are struggling with those feelings and it is difficult. They are in a safe and good home. Because I've read a lot of books where the kids are in the foster care system, and at best they're not being beat up, but usually it's an abusive situation. But the Misua saga has the really hard parts about being a kid in the foster care system, but the happy parts of discovering yourself, discovering your heritage, and having good family and friends in the real world, and having that found family in the fantasy world. Highly recommend that. And if you're looking for middle grade, Indigenous fantasy. Number 6, it's that time of year when all the animals stretch their limbs and come out of hibernation. Choose a book that pulled you out of a reading slump. So I do get reading slumps like everybody, but I don't know, can't think of a single book that's pulled me out of it. I just kind of like ride the roller coaster of sometimes you really want to read, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you've picked up one bad book after another. Sometimes it's all good books. Most of the time it's a mix of good and bad. I can't think of one single book that's really pulled me out of a reading slump. My favorite author is Michael Connelly. I have a bunch there. Fair Warning, The Crossing, Black Sacred Night, The Night of Fire, The Late Show. He does the Lincoln Lawyer series. If you're on Amazon Prime Video, he does the Bosch and Bosch Legacy series. He has so many books. Like, I haven't even kept up with him. I just wrote down what gets me out of a reading slump, or what could help you get out of a reading slump if that is what you're in right now. So reading a favorite author, rereading a favorite book. You know you like that book. It might not be best to go back to a childhood favorite that you haven't reread, because then sometimes you reread it and you're like, it's not as good as I remember it. So rereading a favorite book that you know is a favorite book is a good idea, or a favorite author. Hopefully you can find another favorite of theirs. Reading short books, quick and easy reads like graphic novels, manga. You can see my vlog of reading the 10 volumes of Spy Family and the light novel. Those were really quick and easy and fun to read. I've really picked up a lot of graphic novels in the last couple of years, which are usually fun and cute and have beautiful drawings, and the art style and everything, you can just kind of get lost in that as well. Picking up things like, I don't read a lot of magazines, but sometimes I do pick up a magazine and then it just gets pushed to the side because I'm like, I don't have time to read this. But really, they're short articles. Even if they're a couple pages long, it's not as long as a full-on book. So picking up a magazine or reading articles online that you've been interested in or seeing around, or just doing something that's not reading, like catching up on TV series or movies you want to watch, or BookTube or YouTube, or staying away from bookish things. Like, don't watch BookTube for a little bit. See some of your other interests that are out there. Movies, TV shows, like I said. Or you can kind of dive into the bookish stuff that might get you excited about reading, and listen to podcasts about books and watch videos about books. Or again, just listening to podcasts about other things that you might be interested in, and listening to music, favorite songs, bands, whatever you're into. Like, sometimes I listen to audiobooks a lot, and then I'll switch to catching up on podcasts, and then I'm like, I'm just kind of like burnt out on getting information into my brain. Even if it's just fiction that I'm reading, it's still information going in my brain. Or maybe it's a lot of information like podcasts, whether they're bookish or not. It's just, I'm overloaded. So I'll just put on my favorite music, nostalgia listens, or worship music music for myself and just get lost in the music, and that really helps as well and kind of resets the brain, and then you can go back to reading and be like refreshed and ready for it. If you have a good book to get you out of a reading slump, please comment down below what you like to read to get out of a slump or a specific book that did it for you. 7. Students all over exhale a sigh of relief knowing that they get a break from school. Choose a place whose friend group you'd like to spend spring break with, and I wrote Happy Place, which I know a lot of people loved that last year, and it is all about going on vacation with your best friends, and I need to reread it. It wasn't my favorite. I read Book Lovers and Happy Place, and I liked Book Lovers more, but I want to reread Happy Place because I know it's friendship dynamics. Like, I really crave friendships like that, but I'm really struggling with that right now, having gotten married and then moved away from our friend group and then having 4 children. We know people here through the church and stuff, but having kids makes it really difficult to keep those friendships up. And in Happy Place, they don't have kids yet, the friendship group. There is 3 couples. It's easier to kind of stick with friends when you don't have kids, but it's also difficult when you move to different places, when you're pursuing careers, things like that. It's still hard whether you have kids or not, but having kids just adds that extra layer to it. And I know Happy Place really talks about not the breakup of a friendship, but the struggles of having friends as an adult. So I really want to reread it again, and those are the people I want to go on vacation with, because I know the vacation stuff was really fun and exciting and just having a good time together with good friends. Number 8, spring is all about rebirth and blooming. Choose a book that made you grow as a person. So I read a ton of nonfiction like Blackwater, 7 Fallen Feathers, Racism, Death, and Hard Truths in a Northern City. This is from Northern Ontario. So books like this, I read a ton of these and they're always eye-opening, but I'm really bad at remembering things that I'm reading, and it's like really interesting in the moment. This one is a reread I want to do, 21 Things You May Not Know About the Indian Act, helping Canadians make reconciliation with Indigenous peoples a reality. This is one along with Blackwater that I read with the library. This one was really good. I did a lot of highlighting and taking notes in it. So just learning more about my own country. In My Own Moccasins, another one that we read with the library, and it is also Indigenous and from BC and Alberta, which is where I'm from. So that one was interesting. Hood Feminism was a really good one. That took me a really long time. There's so much information in this, and I need to do a reread, but it's just kind of heavy for me to read this one, and I just struggled getting through it that way. But if I could find an audiobook for this, I would love to read this one, and it was very eye-opening and interesting. I have White Fragility and White Rage on here that I've read. So I do read a lot of nonfiction. Most of my nonfiction used to be Christian and parenting books, and I really need to get back into those as well, and just taking my time reading them and diving into them and really absorbing the information. I'm really good at reading the books and being like, this is really interesting, I need to do this, and then not implementing the information given to me. So then it just kind of goes out of my brain and I forget about it. So I really need to just spend more time with the book and then implementing things, like if it's a marriage or a parenting book or something where there's practical advice, a Christian book, whatever, I need to implement that stuff. I'm also just started this giant book, but I'm highlighting like crazy. This is about taking charge of ADHD. We are having a lot of struggles with my son, who was diagnosed last year and has been on medication, and I just really need this in my life, and I really need to get back into it. I have an audiobook of the 3rd edition that I was able to get, and this is the 4th edition. I can't just listen to it, I have to like follow along. Yeah, this one is hopefully going to make me grow as a person and as a parent. Number 9, a picnic at the park is the perfect springtime activity. Choose a book with a character who you think would pack the best picnic basket. So I am picking Imoni from With the Fire on High. I read this book last year, and she makes dishes that are like magical. She knows just the perfect ingredients to mix together, ingredients you wouldn't think about mixing together. She like never follows a recipe. She'll get recipes handed down from like her family that she kind of follows a little bit, but then adds her own special ingredients and stuff. People like want to cry and weep eating her food because it evokes these past memories and emotions and all this stuff. So I'm taking her on my picnic, and she's packing the picnic basket. And then number 10, for many, spring is the first break from the bitterness of winter. Choose a book that is the embodiment of sunshine. So like I said here, the sun is shining, but it is freezing cold. It is the bitterness of winter still out there. I see hope. I see light at the end of the tunnel. Now, I can't think of a book that is the embodiment of sunshine, that is just happy and gives you all the good feels. I, at the beginning of last year, read The Bookish Life of Nina Hill, and that just made me so happy reading it while I was reading it. I don't know if it's all sunshiny, but it made me happy reading it. And then I picked a book up off my shelf that is very bright and yellow that I haven't read yet. It's called New Arrivals at Hedgehog Hollow. It also has flowers on it. I picked this up because there is a table at the bookstore. They're like $6 each or 3 for $10, I believe. And I love hedgehogs. I've never owned a hedgehog or anything like that, but they're really cute and sweet. And this just looked really cute and sweet. And the cover is very much sunshine and bright and happy. And then I was there again at the bookstore a little while ago and I saw this book and it was at Hedgehog Hollow and I was like, oh, New Arrivals at Hedgehog Hollow. That's got to follow the book I already bought because they're new arrivals. It's the same book. I bought the same book twice. Comment down below if this is a problem for you. Thankfully, I spent like less than $6 on these books because it's $6 each or 3 for $10. I would have bought all three, like 3 different books at the time. So I don't know what to do about this, but I have 2 of the new arrivals at Hedgehog Hollow that look very sunny and cute and fun. Hopefully I like the book. I feel like it won't be anything like deep or mind-blowing, but it might just be a fun little easy read in the midst of all like the hard-hitting topics and stuff I want to read. That is the Splendid Spring book tag. Let me know if you've done this tag. Comment down below. Let's chat. Let me know a book that embodies sunshine to you, and enjoy your spring. I hope it's warm for you. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye!